Howdy, folks! Welcome to Next Dev FM, the show by developers for developers. My name is Dan Goosen, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host
Ryan Vogel.
Ryan. I wanted to tell you something. I was
What's
reviewing
up?
the latest PR that we shipped for the Next Dev, right? The one with the
Right.
admin panel tweaks.
Yeah.
And I saw comments on it. Do you know who is leaving those comments? It's like very, very helpful feedback for the code I write.
Oh, it's helpful feedback. Okay, so it's not my comments. I don't know who's. Oh, I added this bot the other day called what was it? Oh, Code Rabbit. Code Rabbit. I think it was the one that was right here. That type of Code Rabbit.
That one. Yes, that one right there. Super awesome thing. I love it. I have to tell you, caught a bug, I fixed it, and I shipped the thing. Easy peasy. And you can do that too if you were to install it for free on your open repository right now. So go ahead and check it out on devlink.browse/codeRabbit.
All right. Thank you to Code Rabbit for sponsoring all Next Dev Lives, and let's bring forward our guest. Let's rearrange this layout, unless I'm getting interviewed. I don't think I was getting interviewed. Welcome, Simeon from Sanity.io, a developer educator. Simeon, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. This is exciting. I'm not usually on this side of the microphone or the interview, so
It's interesting, isn't it? It's like you're like, oh, I don't know what questions they're going to ask me. I don't have this thing just already prepared.
yeah, like it's a double and with a double whammy too, right? Because not only am I usually hosting content, but I'm also a massive control freak. So to just sit and have questions thrown at me is it's nerve wracking. So let's go.
Awesome. Yeah, well, why don't we start from the very beginning? Give us a 2-minute intro. Who you are, what do you do, and how did you end up in this beautiful world of web development?
Yeah, so my history is I'm old. So when I was young, I had a misspent youth of building web pages in Notepad on my Windows 95 machine. I didn't have the internet at home. I had to ride to the library on my push bike every weekend, book in 30 minutes on the internet, and I'd download as many web pages onto floppy disks as I could, and then ride my BMX back home, and I just like study the source code and just like built my own web pages. That's what I would do, spending my Saturdays while everybody else was outside having fun. And then thankfully turned that into a career, built websites for a living. I was slinging WordPress websites for the longest time for small businesses and thought I'd do that forever until I ended up at Sanity. So it's like the really short version. Yeah.
It's really interesting. A lot of our guests that we've interviewed have had that similar type of thing where it's like they've been in the trenches and then they discovered WordPress and then they did WordPress for like forever. Um, and then they like pivoted into whatever they're doing now. So like WordPress is like a massive contributor for people like, I don't know, like as that like connector space, it like gave them everything they needed to know and understand about web dev and all of the different things, especially what we'll see today with like the CMS aspect. Um, so you've so what was this is I always love to ask this. What was the earliest project that you think you've like officially shipped? Like not like an HTML page on your web on your local computer, like something.com.
I think it's still up actually. Polman's Nursery is a plant shop in regional Queensland in Australia, and the original design is still online. And every now and then I get asked to make changes to it. Like it's got to be 12 plus years old. I did graphic design for a number of years as my first job before I started doing web pages for a living. But no, you're definitely right. Oh, actually, that's my first WordPress website, but I must have shipped some because I was using text pattern before, which I always wish people liked, but nobody even knows about text pattern. But I did a few websites on that. But yeah, but Polman's.com, that is it.
Is that the website?
I'm
Let me
pretty
pull
sure
this
that's
up.
still the same design that I did. Yes, that is the first web page I made on WordPress, and it's still live
Let
in
me
its
pull that
beautiful
up. That
form.
is awesome. That is so cool.
And it
For
is
all of
cool to log
our
into the back end and see, like, this blog post was written 14 years ago or something, like it really is amazing that it's still online in that form.
That's pretty. When do you think your latest push or like change was on this site?
Oh, that it could have been last year, literally.
Okay. Because I was like, this kind of looks new and updated and everything like that. I was like, I didn't know if like that most recent change was like 14 years ago. That'd be
But
so
that
funny.
homepage is still the same.
Really?
Maybe they've changed the photos, but like everything now is like, oh, can you make a change? And it's just like brute forcing some more CSS, into the header or something. Like nothing is built right in there, and I'm not updating any dependencies, and that's probably for the better. I think it's right what you said about WordPress being a great level up, because when I first started doing WordPress, I didn't know how to run a local web server on my computer, so I was just setting up a server in cPanel and saving pages through SFTP and
Right.
and refreshing the page. Right, so my remote server was the server I was developing on. By the end of working with WordPress, I was using the Roots stack. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that, roots.io. And that's a full full deployment pipeline, all your dependencies for like hot reloading and everything. So like it takes all the Laravel blade templating. So it takes all like modern dev principles and backports it all into WordPress. So
Right.
I was using WordPress for like 10 years, but the sites I was doing at the end were very different to the sites I was doing at the beginning. But yeah, WordPress being the core of all of that is a constant.
Right. So that intros me into the next question. You've written about like limits of like page centric CMSs, and this I think will kind of tie into some of your recent stuff at Sanity. What finally like kind of made that click in your mind to treat content as like data instead of like pages? Because it's always been like pages in like the WordPress era. When did that switch come up?
Yeah, so I guess like once you're using WordPress for a while, because it comes out of the box with posts and pages, you'd always need to end up. And I'm going to speak to an audience that understands WordPress. Like it'd have just posts and pages, but you'd always need custom post types because you'd have like staff or offices, things like that. And I would sort of your back end brain is saying they aren't pages. And you originally I was setting those up as page templates, so there'd be a staff template and an office template, but that's not right. Those are different data entities that have different fields. And then you get advanced custom fields, which adds more fields than WordPress gives you. And so what I ended up wanting was like, I wish the CMS was just custom post types and advanced custom fields. So then when I found Sanity for the first time, I'm like, oh, and yeah, that always works as a great pun. I'm like, oh, great. It's just advanced custom fields and custom post types, as if that was the entire CMS, with the added benefit that assets and databases, or data sets as we call them, that's all handled by Sanity. So I never have to think about the worst stuff. And the admin dashboard is only ever focused on the best part of it, is the data modeling.
Right.
So yeah, I think it was sort of Sanity as a product met me where I was already headed. Yeah, and I think that's why I was so like instantly converted that I didn't want to build anything any other way after that.
You're like, I've been doing this wrong for 30 years.
And yeah, like I know it sounds like a sales pitch, but like I was using it for like 2 years before I even joined. And I guess because this is like a career progression podcast, I mean, I was using Sanity and contributing to the community. I was in the Slack, making a lot of noise, sort of making myself known. And really what I was largely doing was like, hey, there's all these plugins and things from WordPress that I missed that weren't in Sanity Studio yet. And so like I just started building all these things that were missing. And WordPress had a 20-year head start. So there's all these great ideas that have been battle tested in production there. And like I can take those ideas and just put them into Sanity Studio. So that helped to really get a reputation among that Sanity community, which then led to getting a job at Sanity, which I would never have believed was possible before then.
Yeah, Sanity is primarily built on JavaScript. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So you configure the entire thing in TypeScript. But yeah, and so your configuration code compiles to this Sanity Studio, which runs on Vite. And then, yeah, you just deploy that app. You can deploy it anywhere, but primarily you deploy it to Sanity's hosting.
Right. So how long have you been working on WordPress as your go-to choice for CMS?
So that was probably about 10 years I was doing WordPress sites.
Yeah, that's quite a jump, from PHP into JavaScript ecosystem. How was that for you?
Oh, that was really tough. Because I was at that point where I kept hearing all this noise about all these JavaScript frameworks and that. And for some reason, it's an easy trap to get into. I'm like, no, everybody's talking about React. I'm going to be cool. I'm going to do Vue. And so like Vue was the first one of these frameworks I learned. But then instantly realized if you want a job, like you'll need to learn React. So like, sorry, Vue fans. But yeah, like, so I brute forced myself to learn React. And that was, I think I learned React before I learned JavaScript, really, which I know they will tell you it's the wrong way to do it. But I was really motivated by actually, I had a life change as well. I moved to the UK. I took a WordPress development job here. I had to abandon my business in Australia, which was doing quite well. And then I came here and I was working on a very low income. And I'm like, I'm not doing WordPress sites for pittance anymore. I'm going to learn all these new tools. I'm going to get myself a better job. So yeah, like I spent my nights and weekends learning React and JavaScript and sort of learning the new frameworks. And then that's sort of what led to finding Sanity at that same time.
I
Yeah.
will say, I was the same way. I learned React before I officially learned JavaScript and TypeScript, because at the time, I think this was because I'm 21 right now, and I think this was when I was 13. I was just like, I just want to make a website or something like that. I just want it to work. I want it to work. I don't care about servers. What's servers? I don't want that. I just want a cool website for my Portal 2 blog, so that way I can talk about all that cool stuff. And it was just horrible React use states and all that other stuff. But yeah, I think it's underrated learning React before JavaScript, because it kind of has that enlightenment feeling where you're like, all the stuff that you can do on React that you're constricted to the client on, and then once you start learning like backend JavaScript, I'm like, wait, I can process stuff. I can do complex, more math and processing. I'm like, whoa, this is insane.
Yeah, and I think that gets lost in discussions when you'll see, oh, should I learn React or JavaScript first? To me, it's like, find your sense of purpose, like find your why first, rather than worrying about what the right order is. Like I was highly motivated. I was getting paid really poorly and I needed to do better and I needed to upskill. So like the fastest path to me was like brute forcing React. Now, I guess technically there could have been a better way to do it, but like get a good reason, get a sense of purpose first, and then figure out what you want to do. Don't worry about trying to do things the right way first.
Yeah.
You initially joined Sanity not in an educator capacity. Curious how you ended up in this role and where you started.
Yeah, so I started in solution engineering, and when I saw that job post listing, it said two words in there that made me confident enough to apply for the role. It said that you must be a developer generalist, and I thought that's me because I'm not particularly good at anything. And I applied for the role, and what I learned, and if I can impart anything, this is like a big thing that I wish more people knew. I knew I was pretty good at talking and pretty good at coding. And because I'd run my own business for like 10 years in Australia, I could sell to customers. I could speak to customers like non-dev talk, and then I could talk to developers with dev talk. What I found out when I joined Sanity is like that doesn't mean that you're worse. Like it doesn't mean you're a bad salesperson or a bad coder. It actually means if you can sit in the middle of those two things, you're an incredible bridge, and that's quite an asset. That is rare, as I've come to learn, is if you can be the person who could go into a meeting and talk to the chief marketing officer and the chief financial officer and the chief technical officer, and not treat any of them as less than, and not talk down to any of them, but very clearly communicate across those three bridges. That's dead set. It's a superpower. So like I'm in awe of amazing engineering talent, and I'm in awe of like people who can see like the macro of marketing and finance and those things. But if you can be that bridge between all of them, that's absolutely a role. And that's what I found out in solution engineering, helping close deals and sell to customers.
Yeah, people really don't realize how rare it is for an engineer to be capable of yapping. I keep repeating myself on that topic, but that's really a hidden gem in the world of business.
Yeah, and I learned this, and there's no ways to say this without it sounding mean. I learned this at one point because, like, I mean, like amazing developers, and I can't think of a specific story for this, but we've got like incredible developers, and I've met so many incredible developers, and they're the smartest people in the world. But if you get them to talk to a customer, it doesn't always go well. And I'm like, hey, but what's happening here? You're the smartest person I know. But that doesn't translate to like a great way to sell a product. So like, yeah, like and my role then as like solution engineer or like company mascot now, I'll gladly say it, I stand on the shoulders of giants. Like all of the work that our engineering teams do, then I get to be the face of, and I just get to say, hey, look how amazing this thing is. But like they've done all the hard work, right? So like I'm in awe of the work, but there is absolutely a role in being able to see that work for what it is and then communicate the value of it to a wider audience.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's because that's really what closes the deals, if you honestly think about it, because it's just taking that information, bundling it up, and delivering it to like your technical team in a way that they can understand and is like native to them. So yeah, I think that's super, super valuable, especially for people, and it's rare.
Especially when you're working with a developer tool. So Sanity is developer tool forward, but it's a developer tool that you are supposed to be configuring something for end users. Like
Right.
your role is to configure TypeScript in a way that ends up in a great editing experience. So it's a constant bit of education that we have to do is like, hey, I know you love this, but if you want to use this at work, you're going to have to know how to communicate this to end users. And so in one of the courses I've written, like we set up the studio by the defaults, and everything's just default settings. And the start of the very next lesson is, hey, this works, but it sucks. Like you think about this experience and how it could be so much better if we spend a little more time for the people who will actually use this thing at the end of the day. So
Right.
Getting developers to think beyond themselves is like a really key thing.
Yeah. And I think something that might be even harder than getting developers to think for themselves is courses, guides, and that content for developers, and planning it and actually shipping it. Because there's so many times, if you've ever been in any sort of like education workflow, it's like, oh well, we can modify this, and it's like, oh, we already recorded that 2 weeks ago, okay, let's re-record. And then it's like this constant cycle. And running like content ops means you got to prioritize stuff for education. What's your kind of like workflow that you go through when you're like, hey, I want to prioritize this guide, I want to ship this course? And it's like, it's hard to do because framework and product moves faster because it doesn't rely on like scripts and videos and human error, so to say.
Yeah, sometimes it's super obvious what needs we have for educational content. Other times it's difficult. And another problem, particularly writing developer content, is everything that you write becomes a maintenance burden. So just this week, I've updated we've got like 5 courses on Next.js. I've had to go back and rerun them again because when you run install, now that it's Next 16, the homepage looks different of a new Next.js 16 site. Some of the APIs might have changed. And so everything is a maintenance burden. So you've got to be cautious of that. So like that I say that to say, there's a reason why I won't do 100 Next.js courses, because then that's more to maintain next time. Or like we've got a series of courses on how to get set up on a few frameworks, but it's very thin. It's just like the slightest taste of here's just enough to get you started, because if I go any deeper than that, then that's a maintenance burden as well. But primarily, I guess how we prioritize learning is what's been missed, what's not well understood, and as I say, the particular educational material I create for Sanity Learn is not just straightforward, here's how to set up the product, but rather here is how to think about content operations as a philosophy and as a way of working. Because we're a dev tool primarily, and it's easy to sort of pigeonhole us as a CMS, but we've actually got a notion and a drive to really change the way that teams think about how content gets put together and published.
Yeah, I am really, really curious though. What is your day-to-day looking like? Because I imagine this is a role that is like not super clearly defined. You get to control your schedule. You get to decide what to prioritize, what to put the roadmap for yourself. What does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, I'm given a lot of leeway, which I'm very appreciative of at Sanity. And so, yes, and like everyone at every startup, you kind of do a bit of everything. So my day to day at the moment, it is going back and reviewing content, because I haven't gotten to that for a while. Something that I like redoing content. So we've got like a Shopify and Hydrogen course. I'm redoing that one again because Hydrogen has changed a bit since I last used it. I don't do a lot of like really thorough planning. That's to my detriment. I'm just not a planner. So otherwise I'd be working on instinct on what needs to be done. I'm also regularly responding to feedback that comes in on Sanity Learn. That's a big thing to me. I think is really important in a way of working with a public-facing documentation like that is there's zero friction to adding feedback on any lesson. It's just a big text box at the bottom of every lesson because I want to know what people are struggling with, or if there's a typo or something, and I've got a workflow to be able to fix that very quickly. So yeah, making sure that the amount of unresolved feedback is low at all times is really important. But the last 6 weeks has been writing conference talks and giving conference talks, and that's just back to back to back to back. So yeah, the job can change for months at a time. Or it can be quite consistent. But yeah, usually just responding to whatever the needs are at the time.
Yeah. I'm curious, are you leveraging AI, and how much are you leveraging AI, if you are, for content creation?
We are. I haven't found the sweet spot on like relying on it overly for generation. I just everything I generate content wise, and I know this was my talk at Next.js conference. Like, say, generating creative text is really, really difficult without spending a lot of time refining the prompts. And my talk at Next.js conference was like literally saying, like, we've got customers who've said, yes, we've spent the time and we've finally got the prompts to the degree where we think we can trust it for creative writing. I'm not there yet. I have started to explore. I use Grammarly to correct I think that's AI under the hood. I really strongly believe in Grammarly. I think it's really good. But something I am exploring, and I did a demo on this recently, is having a series of prompts pre-written that integrate with the content Insanity to have it check for a few things, not just like our general style guide and our tone of voice. Like those are things I want to make consistent, because that's AI will be good at that. Is we've got like 27 courses with like 100 plus lessons. Getting them consistent, especially when multiple writers are involved, is difficult. So I'd like AI to be able to do that. But something else I've been thinking about recently is having it check for things like foreign concepts. So like the curse of knowledge is a big problem when you're writing educational materials, is you assume that everybody knows this thing, but not everyone knows it. So having system prompts written to check things like that is something I really want to get done with AI, so that not everything's just up to like a certain quality standard, but that the content is good educational content as well.
Yeah, I think it's a hard line to come across with, because I found, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I use AI as my script editor and my script writer and stuff like that." And it's good, but it's never just been able to fully replicate or come close to like a raw script that I've written. And like the information density, there seems to always be a lot of fluff that comes in. Now, it's great for sort of that research retrieval aspect of aggregating all of these different viewpoints and stuff like that and putting them together, so that way you can read those out in like an outline and then present them. But for the pure content, I mean, this is kind of what you talked about. It's like the pure content, you've got to have a good baseline for that or something to work out of. um and but yeah, that it is good that you're using it for stuff that kind of is AI's strength. Of it's like it's very good at repeatable results and maintaining that, but actually if you dive into what the content means, it doesn't really excel the same way as like that top level type thing. It's kind of like in coding, where you would be just adding like a little CSS fix, is like that sort of like tone of voice modification. But then it's like, if you really want some good nitty gritty content, it's like, oh, rewrite the entire backend or something like that. I feel like it's kind of the same parallels that it draws.
Yeah, and I don't like how it when you try to get AI to write with personality, it feels like completely fake.
Yeah.
And the alternative is that it's completely wooden, right? But there's something in between, and maybe that's just like our own internal bias when we read something we know was generated by something else. But like I had an example this week, I was trying to write an email which it was in a professional context, but I had written the words "hell yeah" in it, and I got AI to review this email, and it's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't say that in a professional context. I'm like, no, but I really mean it. Like, I want to show emotion in this professional email. So yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to get the balance right on that stuff. But every time I come across those, I'm like, no, I think I'll maintain a little bit of humanity here for now, if you don't mind. But the research part is interesting too. I mean, when I'm writing about sanity, I'm writing about a topic I know a lot about, right? So I haven't had to do a lot of research, but I am researching something at the moment for a blog post just on my personal site that's well outside my wheelhouse. And I've actually really enjoyed, like, I'm the last person on earth to discover voice mode on ChatGPT, and like just walking the dog and talking to it about this topic I've no idea about. It's just fascinating. So yeah, that research side of things, I think I'll definitely be making more use of AI, but it's not something I've had to do a lot with Sanity so far.
Yeah, I definitely look like a crazed lunatic when I'm walking around, because I do the same thing where I just put like an AirPod in and like call ChatGPT,
Mhm.
and I'll talk to it for like an hour and a half, and just sort of just bounce any sort of idea off of it. But I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed the same thing, the issue I have then is content and resource retrieval, because I've got this hour-long conversation and I'm like, there were like 9 key points that I wanted to like save for later that it like discovered. And I'm always like looking through the chat or taking that chat, putting it into another LLM and be like, identify every time I said, oh, that's a great point, and
Mhm.
summarize that for a list in me. But anyways, um with working and stuff like that, as a content learning educator, and very similar in my sort of sense, like a DevRel, it's hard to get reasonable metrics. Like obviously your engineering team, if they're shipping out enough bugs or new product features and everything like that, it's understandable and it's recordable. But how do you sort of do self metrics, or how does Sanity do metrics in that sense?
Yeah, it's not really enough at the moment. I've only just started really paying attention to the, say, analytics even. On Sanity Learn. I mean, it primarily was built to supply training information to like our partners, to agencies. So it was a very manual, like face-to-face thing. It didn't really have like wide marketing appeal or metrics or goals. So yeah, but we didn't track the numbers too much, but it is a project that I'm just about to start as well, is to, like, I built a brand new dashboard to sort of be able to observe these things in real time. We do keep a track of certifications. That's probably the number we do really monitor, and sign-ups. So anybody who's already signed up to Sanity, when they first arrive at Sanity Learn, they get a Sanity Learn account as well. So we do track like the number of signups to Sanity Learn and the number of people that are certified through the exam every month as well. And so we'd like to see that number growing healthily, but we don't track too many other. I mean, actually, we've got event tracking all over the place, but like a lot of people, they're not actually looking at those numbers. But it has been interesting to look at, like, say, the drop-off rate on a course. I think probably untold, or like maybe it's an open secret for people who sell courses for a living. The percentage of people that actually finish the course must be so low. So yeah, to see the numbers of drop off from the start to the end is one thing, but then trying to find like where is the point where they're dropping off. And I'd like to sort of do investigative work now to say, is that lesson too difficult, or is it like not interesting enough, or like why do they drop off at that point? And likewise, too, there's some lessons that get way too much traffic and then they're in the middle of a course. So it's like, is that indexed on Google somehow? And that lesson actually contains some really general, interesting information that should actually be surfaced somewhere else. So yeah, I've begun to pay light attention to the numbers, but the project as it is currently doesn't rely on numbers to succeed.
Yeah. And I think an overall, and this has kind of been growing recently in like the way that Twitter has been sort of evolving, is you can kind of get a sort of like community metric by just like seeing the vibe of a community around a product on Twitter. Like if most of the Twitter users are sharing, hey, I built this with Sanity and stuff like that, compared to as, hey, I can't find anything on this about Sanity or something like that. You can kind of get like a general vibe of like a community, and then as essence, the educators and stuff like that, a part of that company that would be teaching those community members.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the best metric is very difficult to track, but the best metric is, I mean, we had an in-person conference recently, and it was like we got a whole bunch of people from the Sanity community together in New York, and I was overwhelmed with the number of people that came up and said, like, I've done your videos, I've done your courses, it's so helpful. The week after that, we had our all hands get together for the year, and there's people at Sanity who are like, one person said, I wouldn't have got a job at Sanity if it wasn't for your courses. It taught me how to use the product. So I know that's a very manual way to track the success of it, but we do get a lot of compliments for the quality of the education and how impactful it has been on people. So I don't know if I can track numbers. I don't know if I can track a reaction like that with numbers or with analytics, but certainly the amount of positive feedback I've gotten in person has been quite remarkable.
Yeah, we actually had a chat about quantifying the impact of developer relations with Lee Robinson earlier on Next
Mhm.
FM, and his response really stunned me. It was like, optimize for quality, nothing else matters. As long as you keep consistently producing the best content out there, targeting developers, educating them on what's possible with the technology that you're advocating for, you'll get where you need to go. And this really resonated with me. So I feel like there's something there in what you're saying that is very, very directionally correct.
Yeah, it's really difficult because I think like DevRels have, and you know what I don't like about DevRel discourse online is that, like, as soon as DevRel topic comes up, DevRels love talking about DevRels, and I sort of made the joke last time it started doing the rounds, like, hey, I'm going to start a DevRel podcast so DevRels can talk about DevRel, because we all love talking, right? But the thing is, like, I think people have shied away traditionally in that role from being involved in sales and marketing and numbers and that sort of stuff. And I think there is an importance and there is a duty in anybody who is evangelizing the product to be somewhat directly attributable to sales, right? So, like, yes, I work within the marketing department at the moment. My roots were closer to the sales side. I very much love the idea that Sanity Learn helps convert, leads of huge customers, become customers, just as much as I'm happy that people who try the free plan also get to check out Sanity Learn and do that as well. But I'm very motivated to help our sales go through as well. I've got no issue with that. So if I was required to start coming up with numbers, then I would feel that would be fine. And I don't have a perfect answer on that. I don't think anybody does, but I certainly wouldn't shy away from making sure that things get results. I know I had an experience like this earlier this year. I started a podcast series as an experiment on the Sanity YouTube channel, and it was getting good numbers, but not like amazing. So, like, I was at a point where it's like, well, do we either double down on this effort or we just can it and sort of repackage it and come back later? And that was the decision I made at the end. It's just the numbers couldn't justify that continued investment, fun as it was, and it got some positive reception. But like, sometimes you've got to sort of kill those things based on the numbers and move on and find out where your efforts are better applied.
Yeah. So continuing on the theme of figuring out where to double down, what efforts to cut. You mentioned that you actually maintain your Sanity Learn guides, instructions. You keep them current with the framework updates, right? Like Next.js 16 changes.
I do my best.
That's a lot of work. That is a crazy amount of work considering how fast the web development space is moving. Do you think it's like worth it?
It is worth it because as soon as something's out of date, I'll get a feedback thing in my inbox the next day. You need to await params now. What's the matter with you? And so majority of feedback's very positive, but like someone will point it out. So to me, it's extremely important. And that's why you need to have like really streamlined content operations. So like I literally have, if a feedback document gets created in Sanity Studio, it fires a function in Sanity, which fires a Slack notification, which has a button where I can one-click button, and I've got that document open in the studio. And I can then, and that feedback document is connected to that lesson. So I can go, oh, this person says there's a typo there, click on the lesson, hit the typo, hit publish, and it's done. So like making sure that that's as low friction as possible. Now, there's a future where, because we've just rolled out this like new AI agent thing, which can start taking actions on your behalf as well. There is a very easy to see future where I can just pipe those feedback documents straight to the agent and say, hey, just double check this, and if this is something that you think that you can make a change to, just go ahead and fix it.
Right.
And so yeah, there's a future where that will be self-updating, where at least I can, with a safety on, where I can at least go and confirm the change before it's done. Or alternatively, I could say, hey, here's Next.js 16 got changed. Here's the blog post about the changes. Just go through and check if we've got any next installation guides and update any of the things. So I think it is worth updating, and I think it's only going to get easier to update as well.
What's really interesting is that's the exact workflow I do for Inbound, my email infrastructure app. If there's a little feedback thing in the app, and if you are having an issue with something, you can just click that and write a response. And what it does is it runs through a couple layers of agents, but it pulls in all the context of like your past browser actions. Like, let's say you went and created an email address and then created an endpoint and then did this or that, the other. That feedback, when it comes in, it gets handled with a AI, and basically just says, is this a technical issue? Is the user reporting a bug, an error, anything like that? What that does is it then routes to another agent that is a cursor background agent, and it kind of sets up that background agent with the context of the request, and then it auto opens a PR. And I just get the notification. It's like, hey, there's this feedback request, but then there's this PR. So I imagine there'd be something very similar of like a PR inside of Sanity that kind of just gives you a yes, no, approve, because that has been so lucrative for me. It's allowed me to kind of just, and then you've got like 30 code review agents now that are all trying to comment on your thing. But obviously the one we would listen to is CodeRapid. But it's still just, it makes it a lot easier to just be able to one click and press and be like, all right, that's good. We're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and we've got we just a few months ago got content releases in Sanity, which is basically GitHub branching for content. So yeah, I'd be able to say, hey, just go and start a new branch, make all the changes to all those documents in there, so I can review the entire thing and I can review that in a live preview. So that's definitely possible because actually you want one of two situations to happen. So I started doing this too with like sentiment analysis. So like it checks, is this technical or is it content related, and is it positive, negative, or constructive? So I do that sentiment analysis piece, but also too sometimes it's like somebody sends in feedback, but it's clearly just like a node error, like that they've got the wrong version of Node installed or something. In those instances, that's actually nothing for us; it's something for them. So I would like it to like very quickly do that analysis, work out is it technical or content, and if it's technical and it's something on their machine, just show them the answer, like essentially Google it for them, and send them back that response. So yeah, there's some occasions where you would want it to make changes to your content, other changes where you want actually immediate feedback. Hey, I've got a solution for your feedback right now. But it's cool that AI will give you both of those things, and they're very different outcomes, but they're both really possible.
Curious, in your day to day right now, how much coding do you get to do actually?
Not as much as I used to. I mean, I built Sanity Learn, so I get to maintain that, which is a React Router application, which is fun. But yeah, like a lot is just messing around building demos, so I don't go too deep otherwise on anything else. Or I'm testing out an API, or it's another thing, like I was saying before about like sort of taking what the developers have done and build it into something that you can demonstrate. It's then trying to find out, okay, so we've got this new feature. What's the archetype? What's the construction through which I'm going to tell the story of how to use this thing? So for the Next.js conference, that was building a demo of like a holiday booking website or something. And that's very quick to do. And I mean, admittedly, Cursor did the majority of that. But yeah, having the idea and the vision that you need to then dictate to Cursor to build that code out. I mean, how much coding do any of us do anymore is kind of the sad part. But yeah, I don't build as much as I used to, but I do like being able to do both and being able to switch between both, because I think I'd get sick of only doing one content or code.
I found
Interesting.
that AI bridges the gap and makes it easier for me to do content and code like on and off, because there's a tweet that I had that went viral the other day that Cursor just dropped their new like Composer 1 model, and I'd used like 2.3 billion tokens of it already like within a day, just because I have like so many projects. And but it's just so nice because it's a fast model, and it allows me to talk to it like I would any other, like kind of going back to that thing, like bridging the gap between like a technical marketer and the technical specialist. I can give it the marketing details, but then I can also give it the technical implementations that I personally know as like a developer. But it just makes it easier because obviously you want to jump into code, but then if you're doing that for like 8 hours, you just get sort of stuck in this developer mindset. But then if you're doing marketing for 8 hours, you get kind of stuck in that, and it's a nice little bridge.
Yeah. And I think it still comes down to that sense of purpose thing too. So like I've had fun building stuff with AI, but not for any particular purpose. And sort of I find the fun runs dry pretty quickly. But if I'm motivated because I've got a really particular goal, then yeah, I could pull an all-nighter code session for the first time in months. But yeah, it really depends on the goal in hand.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that I imagine it was humorous, but if you don't update your guides to be up to date with the framework, you would get feedback the next day. What the hell? Change your thing. Do you receive critical feedback often, if ever?
I don't on Sanity Learn. We do on the Sanity documentation, and I have a
Mhm.
theory on this. That when people come to Sanity Learn, they've been sent there and they've got time on their hands and they are ready to learn. They're prepared to sit down, they've made themselves a coffee, they're going to work through this course. Where often I think we hit the documentation of a website because I'm using this thing and it's not working, and I thought it was going to work this way and it's not working the way that I want it to. And I think that's a lot of frustration. Is it's not that it's not working the way it was designed, but it's not working the way I thought it would. And so we get far more critical feedback to the documentation than we do Sanity Learn. But I think it's just the different modalities that people approach both of those things.
How do you handle critical feedback?
Um, well, personally, or how do I
I mean,
functionally
personally and
function it?
you gotta keep
Yeah.
functioning while receiving
Oh, it's
feedback.
never nice. I actually I wrote a a course on how to um I wrote a course on how to migrate out of WordPress to Sanity, and it didn't work for one person, and he just hounded me for a long time and said some unpleasant things. That was that was frustrating because I spent a lot of time trying to help that person. Um, so it's never nice to see negative feedback. I always feel like I want to do what I can um, to try and get to the root cause of the problem that the person's facing and always approach it with grace. It's never worth hitting back at anybody. There was quite uh, not an influencer, somebody in the web dev community that has quite a large following who called out Sanity recently. Um, by name with great frustration. And so myself and a colleague of mine did our best to reply in public very helpfully because I think how you so particularly in a public situation like that, how you respond really matters. And so if you respond with grace and with just a helpful demeanor and try and get to the root of somebody's problem, I think that is always worth that effort. Yeah, much as when you do get the odd comment here and there, you do sort of just want to fire back. I don't think it's ever worth it in the long run.
That's
Yeah.
where that's where you use AI to fire back the comment in AI and say, make this corporate talk. And it's like, hi, John, thank you for your feedback. I've truly taken that to heart. And that's where AI is good. It can convert those true harsh feelings into something a little bit more corporate appropriate.
Well, the career tip I have on this one is open up your email app, for that email that you want to write back to the customer. Open up your email app, create a new email, and type out how you feel. Just put it all on the screen and then select all and delete it. Like you'll feel better because you'll have felt like it got it off your chest and you were tempted to like put their name in the to box and hit send. But I have done that multiple times. So my career is just write out how I feel just so that it's out there into the world and then immediately delete it before you make a stupid mistake.
Very smart.
There's something funny. I'm working on a new project built on top of Inbound called Slackbound. It allows you to manage your email directly inside of Slack. And I was thinking about this before the show because I had gotten some choice feedback from some users on some other projects and stuff like that. And I was like, I wonder if that would be great if I could just have, if you like responded to an email in Slack and you just went off on them, you could have like a little toggle that says like make harsh messages corporate or something like that. And whenever it detects like a harsh message, it would rewrite it in your tone of voice, but to just be a little bit more polite and delicate. And I'm like, I feel like that would sell in and of itself.
So so that internally you feel like you gave them what for, but what they received was actually it's a curious idea. I'd hope that the safety is always on though. Like if you forgot to click that toggle just once, that it could be problematic.
Yeah, sending an angry message to your boss. Come on, how can you ignore me for so long? Yeah, and then it just doesn't filter. Yeah. Interesting. Well, going back to your building experience, you did build a few projects like tints.dev. And I'm curious, how did you arrive at building such pieces? Like, is it like a problem that really bothers you that makes you build those out? Or what's your process for building things like that?
Oh, tints.dev, did you mention?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that that one was fun and has taken on a life that I never expected. I mean, I love Tailwind. I'm a huge Tailwind fanboy. And if you read the book that they said, like was it Refactoring UI? It says something about like creating color palettes and that you shouldn't automate the color palette creation process. But then it gave a bunch of guidance on how you might create color palettes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, surely I just want to give it one button. I just want to give it one color and create the full gamut of color palettes because it spoke about like adjusting the saturation and the hue at the edges to like make some color palettes more interesting. So it's far from perfect, and there are more popular color palette generating things out there. But yeah, this is mine. And I think it's like third ranked on Google. I've always thought like I'm a terrible indie hacker. I should have monetized this thing by now for its Google ranking. But here we are. I just give this away for free, thanks to Vercel's free tier. But yeah, like it's not largely been touched for the longest time. But yeah, that was just like sort of scratching a curiosity. I'm very jealous of like people who are hackers and builders that have got a new thing that they built every month. That's like my one thing that took off, and it's made me exactly $0. It did though help me last year. The Tailwind guys were giving away one of their tickets to ReactConf and their business class flight from Copenhagen to Vegas, and I put my hat in the ring and said I'd like to get that. And Adam gave me that last year. So like, and he said Simeon's been building things in the community like tins.dev for a long time. So I'm like, hey, it paid off. So yeah, I got my only long haul business class experience in my life. And here's a life lesson: it'll ruin you. Things are never the same. So
Yeah,
Oh,
next time you approach anybody, you should start. I built Tins.dev, by the way. Just saying.
I was gonna say on the flight thing, I got, because I flew a lot for a lot of recent conferences, and obviously company comps basic economy, which is fine. I don't expect them to comp first class, but I'm an Amex user, and I think I upgraded to like the platinum card or something like that, and I got like this free upgrade to first class on American Airlines. Oh, I should have never done that. I've lost so much money to just being like $200 for a 3-hour connection in first class. You know what? I need my hot towel. I need my hot towel and my nuts.
and
Ruins
metal
you.
cutlery.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I sort of feasted off that one. I got enough points to get silver status for the year, which then got me like upgrades the next year. And
Nice.
sort of the flow on effects are very good, but I think it's all running out now. Like I did a lot of traveling last year, and then not nearly as much this year. So I think it's coming to an end. But yes, the good life will ruin you.
Yeah, be careful getting comfortable. Too comfortable.
No, well, I flew KLM back from San Francisco there last week, and KLM is like, what if a bus had wings?
Oh man.
Oh, that's so true. And what if that bus was 13 years old and not recently upgraded?
I got on a KLM flight once and like pulled the armrest out, and then put it back. I'm like, this is going really well.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too funny. That's too funny. Yeah, we could talk for so because us developers, we always get the economy. All the business people, they get the nice first and business class things, and they don't know any of this. But all the developers that they're just shipping out to all these conferences, they're getting the life of luxury of economy and economy premium. It's just,
maybe this is the flip side of saying, oh, it's good to be able to speak clearly to the C-suite. I'm clearly not doing a good enough job if I can't talk my way up into the C-suite.
I love speaking clearly to the C-suite while they're in first class and I'm in economy. I can really make eye contact in the back.
Yeah.
This is great for an integration aspect.
I like to take the little the little packages that they get up there.
Yes.
If they're left over and sealed as I'm exiting the plane from economy, I'll take them. I've got about 20 of those unopened. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I just like to have them.
Someone comes over to your house. Oh, you fly first class. Oh,
yeah,
that's excellent.
Just leave that as a gift package for guests. Yeah, that's right.
I fly so much. I have them at my disposal.
Yeah, that's it.
Beautiful. Going back to our questions on Sanity CMS, I want you to highlight 2 features. One that you think more teams should be using, one that does not get enough attention, and one that is getting too much hype and too much attention, in your personal opinion.
One that's not getting enough attention is largely because it's just now I've got to pick one. Here's the problem. We were just a CMS like 12 months ago, and now like us folks in marketing are getting DDoSed by product because we're just like shipping so much over the last 12 months. It's phenomenal. So I was going to say like App SDK is like, what if you boil down a CMS to a bunch of React hooks, and essentially like, so you can just build whatever admin editing interface you want. So it's not like you configure it with code, you just build whatever you want as an app. It's very cool. but I think that content releases thing has been the real big thing. Like, it's literally like having Git branching for content, which when you combine that with like live preview, means that, so like I had to rewrite our like major onboarding introductory course earlier this year. It ends up like 80 documents that are all edited, but I can edit them out of stream, right? So if I need to keep making updates to the things that are live in production, I can keep working on those, but then I can switch back to my content release or branch and keep updating that. And then when I'm ready, just publish that whole thing and update production. So content releases has been really cool. Like, it literally sort of changes the whole way you use a CMS. Like, if I want to change more than one document at a time, I'll package it into a release and then merge it up in domain, like it's, or published. It's really cool. What's overhyped? Oh, this is going to get me in trouble. I mean, it's probably AI, just because it's not there yet.
Yeah.
Like, the promise of it up and down the stack is incredible. So like what I was saying before about like being able to say, hey, I got this feedback on this course, or like, yeah, I think it's a great example to say, hey, Next.js 16 just launched, here's their change log, go through all our guides and make sure that like, that's a thing it theoretically can do. I don't know if I'm ready to trust it yet to do that. I also don't know if I want non-deterministic actors working in like published live content. So it's just like, it's a matter of like being careful and being cautious. And content release is now a great way to like gate that, right? So to say, hey, try this, and if it like it makes a complete mess, if it does that in a branch, then it's not a problem. So yeah, like I always love the promise of what our AI tools can do, because like this new agent's just one of many features we've got, but I haven't personally been able to like get it to the point where I'm like, yeah, I love this thing, I want to use it every day like this. But I hear from customers that they have, and I could imagine if I went deeper on it, I would get it to the point where I want it. But it's, most features just work, when you first use them, right? So, and that's the idea with the developer tools. But that one's not there yet. But I don't think that's a sentiment that we're alone in.
Yeah, no, I think, and that's the part that most people are betting on, that it will get better over time. That's why everyone's shipping half working products, being like, once we actually ship, the AI will be there and we can just flip it out and it will work.
Or it's, we need to get there, because I like to think about AI as a tool that we're all learning. I can't wait until, because it's like we're all carpenters speaking about how amazing these new hammers are, right? I can't wait till it's like, it's so boring that we don't have to say, oh, this is the AI powered thing. It's just the thing. And
Yeah.
of course it uses an AI, because like AI is oxygen at that point. Like I wish we could just hit fast forward to we're there, so we can stop talking about the AI and start talking about the thing that it's doing. But yeah, like that
Because then
future,
you
I'd
just
like
get
to
AI. I'm like, obviously it's an AI assistant that does my taxes for me. How else would it do it?
It's an assistant, or it's an agent, or it's an
Right.
actor which is doing something like I would love to get past the magic of how it works and just focus on the how it works or what it's supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, I agree. All right, we're coming up at the top of the hour. We have some quick fire questions. So, what is your setup looking like? Because we always like to ask this. You don't have to show it on camera, because I know you probably have a very distinct setup. But Mac, Windows, special custom keyboard. I see that Sanity branded mic right there. So you obviously got some custom stuff. And being in community and education, you obviously got a good studio setup, like all of us do. So I'm interested. What's your stack looking like?
I have a pretty good looking setup, which if the camera was facing the other way, you'd see how ghetto it really is. I have a Sony Alpha 6400 camera, which is great, and one of those Sigma wide angle lenses, which is really great. And I have a Shure SM7B Plus microphone, which is just plug and play. And all these things are great because you don't have to think about them too much. But like right here, I've got some big key light thing off Temu with a pillowcase over it as a diffuser. I've got something I bought on Amazon there as another key light, tiny little rubbishy thing that was like £3. I have a lamp behind me from Aldi, which I think I found on the clearance rack for £10 as well. So like everything is kind of just cobbled together in terms of the lighting and things here. So that the camera and the audio you want to spend your money on, but and I've got a MacBook Pro like everybody, but it's pretty no frills outside of the camera and the mic.
I think that's good though. That's all you really need. You don't need to
Keeps
go
you humble.
too overboard. Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
the more the higher quality stuff you buy, the more difficult it is to set up, I find. So
yes. Because then you start needing like different microphone cables and everything like that. Like I got like an Elgato Wave 3 microphone, and it's got like a standard USB-C connect. Because when we originally started the podcast, Dan sent me like this XLR microphone, and I had to like completely redo my setup, and I was able to throw away like
and they pick up more
wires.
sounds around, and
exactly. I'm like, I just want my voice. Anyways, we'll work on wrap up. Where this is your 1 minute plug time for you and Sanity. Where can folks find your work? Where can they see all of your courses and stuff like that you've put so many man hours into? This is your minute to plug.
Yeah, so go to sanity.io for the homepage of the content operating system. But if you want to see Sanity learn content specifically, and you'll see my face all over the place, it's sanity.io/learn, strangely enough. That's where you'll see the Day One with Sanity, or this is called the Day One Content Operations course now. And that's a course that if you take that, you will touch pretty much every part of the Sanity API, and you can complete that quite easily in a day. There's video accompaniment for every lesson there. But if content-driven web applications are super important. And I know it's a huge industry, but it never seems to be part of the mainstream web dev conversation. Not sure why that is. Databases are, frameworks are. There's all these other things that people have a lot of opinions on, but like where your content is coming from. Every website needs content, and you might as well deliver that from a service which works really, really well for you. So sanity.io/learn. That's where you should start.
Awesome. And the final question for the show: what would be one piece of advice you'd share with yourself, from the version of yourself from 10 years ago?
How do I word it? I love a lot of cheesy mottos and stuff, so many flood to mind. But like your own internal value of yourself is way off. You can be valued in a lot of different ways, and people likely value externally more than you realize. And I can be quick to defer compliments or deflect compliments. But I think, like I said before, to walk into a room of people who've seen my content and have nothing but praise for it, that's incredibly moving. And when you sit at home by yourself, you probably don't really feel the impact of that work. But I think whatever you can do to get a better understanding of how much impact your work is having on people and how much they value your work, you should really make sure that you get that, because your own internal value is probably way off. If that makes sense. I think
it does.
Worse than I thought it did, but I won't say any more. I'll only make it worse.
Your internal idea of how valuable you are is not what it really is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think that's it. We should workshop that. I'm sure I can do better.
I see.
All right, that be the headline of your site. Yeah, exactly.
It's a really awesome. Long
one. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We've had a great time. I've learned a ton. I know our viewers have as well. But thank you so much for coming on and letting us indulge into your life a little bit. And
super. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching and tuning in, and we will catch you next time. See ya.